loctician was like, no, you can't do any of that shit. The answer is going to be no.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Whitley, aka Naturally Cherie. And on today's video, we are going to talk about all the things I wish I knew before getting microlocs. For those of you who don't know, microlocs are a variety or a type of sister lock, I guess is the best way to explain it. So technically a sister lock is patented, of course. So there's a certain grid pattern that happens in your hair that will make them sister locks, and it has to be done by a sister lock technician, okay? Microlocs are just teeny tiny locks that resemble sister locks. However, they're not done or not always done by a sister lock technician, therefore giving them their name microlocs. Okay, so that's just the basics of what a microloc is. Now, let's get into what I wish I knew before I got them. One, the first thing that I wish I knew before I got them is that, so initially when I was trying to get them, I was going to get Sisterlocks. Sisterlocks are most times more expensive than microlocs because, again, you're paying for the patent. So this is one thing that I didn't know but ended up knowing right before my appointment and was able to find out that, again, the only difference is going to be, of course, the grid pattern and whether or not it's done by a loctician, a sister lock technician that specializes in teeny tiny locks, okay? So I ended up going with somebody who was not certified in sister locks. And I got microlocs instead because they were significantly cheaper. When I say significantly, I mean cut in half. The quote that I got for my hair for Sisterlocks was going to be $1,900. I ended up paying around $800 for these. And it was just better feasibly because the only difference, again, was going to be what we called them and the grid pattern. And nobody is in your hair enough to see, you know, each and every single one of your locks or whatever the case may be. So that was fine for me. Okay, so the first thing that I wish that I knew before I got my microlocs was how expensive it can be. Okay, so I do want to be honest about how expensive it can be, and I don't mean just the installing. I did just go over how much it cost, okay? And that it is significantly cheaper to get microlocs than it is to have sister locks. However, for a lot of people that is still expensive, but I'm not even talking about installation. I'm talking about maintenance, okay? It's kind of like when you buy a fancy car and the fancy car requires fancy maintenance. So you spend all this money. So get a fancy hairdo, fancy maintenance. So I spend anywhere between $100 to $150 for retightens. And that basically is just when they go in and they tighten up your locks once they grow out. So it is different than traditional locks because traditional locks, they tend to do a retwist. They can do interlocking on them, but retwisting is not an option for micro and sister locks, okay? You will get interlocked. They are all interlocked. This entire lock is interlocked, okay? So the maintenance that's required can become quite expensive because you have to go every 4 to 8 weeks, I believe. So 1 to 2 months. My hair grows fast, so I have to go every 4 to 6 weeks. Otherwise, they charge extra. So the pricing of it is just like every time you go. So that is one of the things that I wish I knew before, and I might have considered differently because traditional locks are cheaper to maintain as well as install. So I might have been able to save me some money or a lot of money in the long term of my hair. As you see, I am a hair YouTuber. I have been YouTubing about doing my own hair for over 5 years, and you have seen the styles and the things that I would do in my hair. I feel like I got to a place in something where I could not do my own hair. I don't know if that will change once my hair is more mature and they're a little bit thicker, so that I can really decipher between each lock so that I'm not combining any. But interlocking over 400 locks just doesn't sound like something that I want to do. I will style them, but doing them, it can take a couple of days. I hear from most people who do them themselves. If I do ever do them, I will, of course, show y'all that. But I don't know if I will ever do them, just because it is very time consuming and I don't have that kind of patience on my spirit right now. Okay, so that is one way that people are able to avoid costs if you are one of those do-it-yourself people. And again, I am a do-it-yourself person, but if you look at how small these are, you have to go into each one and interlock it 4 times. 4 times equals 1 time. So you go north, south, east, west, and then you pull it through, and that's how you interlock. And so I have to do that for 400 locks, and it just doesn't sound like something that I'm going to actually do. So I pay someone to do it. Paying someone to do it, of course, is more expensive. So it does, you have to weigh your options there. The second thing that I wish I knew is how fucking time consuming it was. I am so sorry to cuss, but listen, you don't go every week, of course. You don't go every month, of course. Well, I go every month. But depending on the rate of which your hair grows, how thick it is, how it looks, all those things. When you're first starting out, they want you to come every 4 to 6 weeks. And my hair is very thick and it's everywhere. And so for me, it takes about 3 hours for one person to do my hair, and to get through and retighten them all. And that is with minimal breaks, no stopping. That's if we just go straight from start to finish, knock it out. Since I've been pregnant, that's been harder for me to do because it's uncomfortable to sit for long periods of time. So I did find a new loctician, thank gosh, that does allow me to take frequent breaks, and we're not in a rush. We can just kind of take our time doing it. It does take longer, but I do have the flexibility to kind of move and maneuver how I need to, which is helpful for getting my hair done. The next thing that I wish I knew before I got microlocs, I did not go to a loctician specialist. I did not go to someone who specialized in Sisterlocks, okay? And that's where I saved some of the money. But saving some of the money may have cost me other things, like more money later. So microlocs are teeny tiny, okay? And so when you get them done, you want to make sure that your lock is very secure, okay? And it should be tight. It should feel tight, okay? Now, because my hair is very soft, my loctician, when I did switch over to a loctician that specialized in Sisterlocks, she mentioned that my hair needed corrective work, okay? She said it doesn't have anything to do with how they were installed, but it is something that ended up trying to cost me later on. So corrective work is basically when they come into the soft spots of your lock, they comb down so that everything scrunches together and is nice and tight, and then they interlock, back down all that loose hair so that you get a nice, tight, and secure lock. The reason why that is important is because as your hair matures, your hair's gonna lock. But if your hair locks and there's gaps, like soft spots, like this is a soft spot right here, your hair is more likely to snap. So a lot of people who have Sisterlocks or microlocs and their hair gets long and mature, they'll say how they lose locks. They'll fall out. And I don't know if that's something that's inevitable, that you're going to have a couple of locks that come out, because again, I haven't gotten to that point. However, having those gaps, those places where the lock is hanging on by a thread because it wasn't able to lock securely, this is going to be something that's going to cause damage to your locks in the long term. So having to get that corrective work done is something that costs more money. So if you're not catching on, this style is an expensive style to maintain unless you are doing your hair yourself. Woo! Okay, this list is getting a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Another thing that I wish I knew before I got microlocs. So in the natural hair community, you'll always see me refer to a spray bottle that has like water and oil. And now this one's tricky because I've heard locticians say differently, so I'm not sure based on your loctician, but I will say based on the loctician that I had that was trained and licensed or whatever it's called in Sisterlocks, basically said that you should not be spraying your locks with anything. And I was doing this in the beginning and was wondering why my locks were so frizzy, why they were unruly, why they were unraveling. And so because my hair was softer, you know, spraying them with a water bottle is something that can loosen your locks and loosen the integrity of them. So they were like, do not spray them. And this is something that I wish I knew before I got locks, because then I wouldn't have offset my entire process by spraying it with the water bottle like every single day to basically make my locks fall the way I wanted them to fall. So that is something that I wish that I knew, and I'm letting you guys know so that y'all know if you get microlocs and you have softer hair, like a 3B or a 3C, even sometimes a 4A, to not spray your hair. And I think the last thing that I'm going to cover in this video is going to be hair color. So because, again, you don't want to disrupt the integrity of the hair. So I got locks, and I was very excited about being able to color my locks. And my loctician was like, no, you can't do any of that shit. The answer is going to be no. And I was just like, what do you mean the answer is going to be no? Like, I want to color them. I want them to be fun. I wanted to do like a rainbow unicorn colors, cotton candy. It was going to be like a whole thing. And she just looked at me and was just like, ma'am, no. So then when she explained it to me, she basically said that it disrupts the integrity of the lock again. Again, when you are starting your microlocs, there are a lot of things that you can't do because they are learning to become a lock. Okay, you're training your hair to become a lock. And anything that you do to them that can damage them or damage the hair follicle, they're going to advise you against doing, because these things are going to disrupt the ability for your lock to form in a mature and strong manner. So they advised, I think a year, but I think she's going to end up saying longer once she sees that they're also still not locked after a year. So I pretty much let go of the color thing, wanting the color, and I've just let it slide that I'm just not going to be able to have the color. And I'm okay with that because I want overall healthy hair. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I advocate for just having healthy hair, despite the style, the length, the thickness, the porosity, all those things, just managing and maintaining healthy hair. If you dye your hair first, they're not going to make you dye it back. But again, damaged hair from dyeing, if it's not done properly, will still impact the integrity of your lock, okay? So the best method of starting your locks is going to be on fully natural hair, no chemicals, no relaxers, no color, okay? You can start with these things, of course, but the advisement of my loctician was to not have any of those things and to make sure that your hair is in its natural state to kind of give you this, it'll give you a more fullness in your locks because your hair is not damaged. The next thing that I wish that I knew, interlocking does not give you instant locks, okay? For those of you who have been following my channel for a while, I have had traditional locks. I did coils and I also did two-strand twists. And both times they just got so frizzy And it just felt like I couldn't be presentable when I was going to work. I was working corporate at the time, and I just couldn't seem to get my hair to not be so unruly. So I said I wanted to do micro locks because I'd be able to basically skip some of that ignorance on my parts, to skip some of that and be able to jump right into them being locks. Now, because they're up, you can't all the way see, okay? But put it against this wall real quick. So they're curly, and it just kind of looks like loose hair. It just looks like my hair is out and it has curly ends and it's a little puff. And that's just kind of what it looks like, okay? And so like when it's styled, when it's up, it's cool because it doesn't look as frizzy as it is. I will probably insert a picture like somewhere around here so that you can see when it's just out. And how frizzy it can kind of look when you're in between style, when it's just trying to lock, okay? And they basically said that it could take 1 year to 2 years for it to lock, for it to look like a lock and not lose hair. I did come in under the impression that they were going to look like locks faster, but because I have natural curly hair, I have a curly soft grain of hair, that this is pretty much normal and what an experience is expected to be when you get sister or micro locks in the beginning, okay? So everyone's always like, oh, they're cute, they look nice though, but you know, for me, I thought I was gonna be able to skip over some of that frizziness and be able to kind of like make them more look like locks. And I've noticed that people don't always know that they're locks. A lot of times people just think my hair is just out. So that is something that I definitely wish that I knew, because you don't skip any of the step unless you get actual instant locks. And so I didn't get those. That's not what these are. So I have to wait it out like everyone else has to wait it out when they get their locks. Well, that's all I have for the things that I wish that I knew before I got locks. If you guys have not already, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Also, this was not a video to bash locks. I love locks. I love having my locks. I enjoy looking at my locks and playing in my locks. But these are things that I wish that I knew before getting locks so that I could be a little bit more prepared for what the experience is going to look like. I hope this video helped out. I hope that you guys get locks, and I hope that you guys show your locks in the comment section. I would love to see them. And enjoy the rest of your day, and see you in my next video. Bye, guys.